Hey guys, Zach here. I know it's called football. I'm back. I'm alive. I had a pretty rough week this last week, man. I've been really. Um, I've wanted to make a video so badly after that City game and all the stuff that happened with the referee and the game. I'll speak on it a little bit in this video, but so much time now has gone past. I mean, all those points have pretty much been talked about ad nauseum. So yeah, I was out with COVID. So this past week, both me and my girlfriend, which is why you see me in my kitchen doing my video because my girlfriend's sleeping in there and I didn't want to wake her up. So yeah, it's not as fun as I thought it would be having COVID, but yeah, man, it was pretty rough week. Not a lot of energy to do a video. I made a thumbnail and everything for the City game. I woke up that morning and it was just shit. Overall, it was a pretty shit experience having COVID. But anyway, that's not why you guys are here. If you are here and you've clicked on this video, there's really a lot to talk about. I have a bunch of notes here, and as I'm feeling much better now, still positive, still tested positive as of this morning, but yeah, I just want to start here and just kind of touch on my thoughts on the City game and the referee Stuart Atwell. I mean, I don't think I've tweeted that much really during a game or after a game in a long time. Sort of lost my cool a little bit, I have to say. I've gone back and read a couple tweets. I'm not really one to delete tweets. I mean, it is what it is. I've said some things that perhaps aren't kind in regards to the referee's performance that day, but it is what it is. It's really upsetting to see a game go that way, and lots of pundits have come out, and Gabby Albanhor especially, has kind of come out, and this is not a man who's biased in terms of in favor of Arsenal or by any means. Often on that show, actually, it seems the opposite, that they are in fact biased against Arsenal. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in the media, lots of defending of referees, and we saw that on BT Sport. I can't remember this guy's name now. I had him written down in my old notes for the City game, but I can't even open that document now. I don't want to say too much about it, but look, the referee had a horrible game, a horror show. The yellow cards, the fouls, the amount of fouls Rodri had, and the slip that he had, the challenge against Martinelli, no yellow, no, like, just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Really poor game from him. He's back, actually going to be back on Tuesday officiating a game in the Premier League, so that'll be interesting. I'm going to try to watch that game if I'm not back at work. We're talking about reputations. Xhaka, that interview a couple weeks ago, talking about a reputation that players have, with referees. And yeah, he's sort of has this reputation of going in for poor challenges, or he's known to, it's true. I mean, he does have that reputation, and he gave it to himself, really, but certainly he's judged unfairly by I think referees. Happens a lot. Not really so much in Europe. This seems to be a reputation he has gained specifically in the Premier League, in my opinion, at least. And my thought is, really, you have a player who has a reputation for making strong challenges or going in when he shouldn't, and picking up yellow cards, red cards. My question is, why isn't the same for players like Bernardo Silva? I mean, that it was a clear dive. He dove. He went down before the shirt was being tugged. Even Granit Xhaka trying to pull his leg out, and there was the slightest bit of contact there. But we saw in the game, Martinelli was sort of stomped on in the back of his heel, and he didn't decide to go down and flop and crawl around and look for a foul. He kept running. Kept trying to beat the player, and he did. And I'm not sure why players like Bernardo Silva, Raheem Sterling, these players aren't given such a harsh treatment in terms of their reputation for cheating the refs and diving. And I'm not really sure why that is. Perhaps it's easier to give a yellow card to someone who you think has made a rough challenge than someone you think is maybe cheating or trying to cheat you, and you don't want to make it personal like that as a referee and claim a player is trying to cheat you or I mean, it is embarrassing when you watch some of this, and you can tell immediately when a player goes down, their mouth is wide open, they're screaming. Look, man, I've played like Division 3 soccer. Whatever you want to say. I know the channel's name is. I know it's called football, but look, I've seen some challenges. Let me tell you that, man. I've seen some shit go down in games, and you're either in pain or you're not, and it's one or the other. And you can tell if someone is truly in pain. In fact, usually you hear the challenge before you hear someone scream. In my experience, anyway. So yeah, man. Look, I'm just gonna leave it there. Arsenal $20,000 fine, from the FA, completely ridiculous. And Arsenal kind of bent over. They're gonna pay for it. What are we supposed to do? I mean, what can you do? It's a whole nother mess. It's not something I want to talk too much more about. So I'm 6 minutes into the video now, and I want to leave it at that. So Liverpool game postponed. Of course, the Nottingham Forest game is going to be coming up on the 9th, on Sunday, January 9th. I expect to see a pretty strong side. Speaking of Granit Xhaka, there are no pictures of him in training, so don't know what that is. I know Arsenal have had a couple more COVID cases. We expect to see the likes of Charlie Patino, and I think Amari Hutchinson perhaps might have an appearance there. So should be pretty strong side for the most part. Leno, I'm sure, is going to be starting. I would assume Rob Holding is going to come in. Most likely, he's going to captain the side. You're probably going to see Cedric. Sead Kolasinac is back, so I might expect to see him at left back. So Nketiah, I would also imagine, is going to start. So lots of changes, but a pretty solid side, I think, is going to be available. Of course, no Pepe, no El Neni, no Thomas Partey in the side of their way at AFCON. Look, speaking of postponements and the Liverpool game, it didn't sit right with me. I think actually, really, I was looking for an outlet for this anger I had about that Man City game, and I've been going off on Twitter, man. Lots of Liverpool fans, lots of arrogance in these Liverpool fans, and Twitter's such a shit place to be when you're angry and when you're upset about matchup or whatever it is, because people really they're not there to have a constructive conversation or to really listen. They want to get a like, and they'll say things that aren't necessarily true or correct because they know it's going to get them liked or it's going to be funny or whatever it is. I mean, I'm sort of guilty of this. I try not to do it. I would much prefer to be honest and have a conversation with someone, but it's pretty difficult to get that, even as nice as I can be on Twitter. But yeah, I mean, it just seems like it's not genuine. They said, oh, well, semifinals, apparently there's different rules. Thinking back, they made Villa play. They had like 16 debuts last season against Liverpool in the cup game. So I don't know what the rules are, man. It's very shady. I've done a bit of research. I've looked into a couple things. I don't know what it is. All I could find was that Liverpool had 3 cases of COVID, not including Jurgen Klopp and his assistant manager. They closed the training ground down, and Alisson, Firmino, and I think Joel Matip were the only 3 cases I saw. I've had someone tell me it's 14 cases. Someone else has told me it's 17. So again, the numbers, it just doesn't seem right. It seems like Liverpool have just, they needed to, I don't know, man. I don't know, but it's really, really unsettling that we weren't able to play that game, because I think we had a point to prove after losing to City. We say, hey, here's Liverpool, another top team, another very, very hard game. Different atmosphere in the Carabao Cup semifinal. It's going to be 2 legs, and they've both been rescheduled now. But it just sucked, man, because I was expecting to watch a game of football, and being homesick, there's not too much for me to do, especially when you're feeling like shit with COVID. And it was a lot of that, I think, just feeling down, and the urge to be entertained, I think, was very overwhelming. So I was upset. Obviously, the game was called off, but yeah, Liverpool fans, I mean, I'm not one to say, oh, they're the worst or so-and-so are the worst, because it's Twitter and everyone's, scumbags on Twitter. But I've never seen so much classlessness from the Liverpool fans. Usually fans I tend to speak pretty highly about, actually. So, yeah, man, upsetting. So obviously the first leg now is going to be played on the 13th. Spurs are going to be on the 16th, and then the second leg is going to come on the 20th. So lots of games, and that Spurs game is so important. In fact, Heung-min Son is apparently out of that game on the 16th. So we'll see what happens there. Could be a ploy to God knows what Antonio Conte could do, and maybe he's back. Who knows? But that game's looking really important. And watching that game against Chelsea, they looked atrocious. They looked absolutely awful. And that top 4 spot, now looking at all the shit that's going on at Man United, honestly, this top 4 spot has to be us. I mean, yeah, I think it's ours to lose if I'm being honest. And it depends on the the January transfer window and who we can bring in. That's obviously the topic of the video. So Ainsley Maitland-Niles has confirmed his loan move to Roma, a player that Jose Mourinho has been pushing for. Couldn't get Granit Xhaka in the summer, so he's settled now for quite a versatile player. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, a player I like, has played that right back position, obviously, as we know, done really well there, and has come in this season and played pretty well in the Premier League, just games in general. There's a quote here from Arteta I'd like to go over. Obviously, we are really light in the midfield, and Arteta himself said, this is his quote, "We are very, very short at the moment. Obviously," he said, "obviously we are going to move and we are going to look for options because we are very short there." So pretty unlike him, unlike a lot of managers to sort of admit that they're going in for a player, or not a player specifically, I should say, but that you are looking in that window specifically. And Arteta is very, very kind of cryptic and doesn't like to say what he's doing, and I'm sure there's reasons to that. Of course there is, but it's pretty obvious that we're short. I mean, no Partey, no El Neni, they're both away. We have Sebi Lokonga and Granit Xhaka. Ainsley Maitland-Niles is now off on loan, so that's basically, two midfielders. Certainly you're not going to think about putting Callum Chambers in there. He hasn't played there under Arteta, I don't think, in the midfield. I know he did it a little bit on his loan spells, but Charlie Patino's still very, very young. You think about the spot we're fighting for in the Premier League, 4th place, and Charlie Patino perhaps he's not ready for that. I think it's safe to say that. I'm not trying to patronize the young man, but I think that's pretty fair to say you wouldn't want to throw him in under the bus like that into the Premier League with such little experience that he has. So it's hard to say, man, but there's options out there. I think the name going around a lot of Arsenal fans is Bruno Guimaraes. Plays at Lyon in France. Looks to be about 45 million. I think I saw 38 to 45 million asking price. Look, it's a pain in the ass club to negotiate with. We know that. The president himself giving us a hard time last 2 transfer windows about Houssem Aouar. Look, it's hard to say really when you look at options. I think Renato Sanchez of Lille is another one. Bit injury prone if you ask me. Quality player, really, really good player. Has sort of found his mark and has been doing pretty well there at Lille. Obviously winning the championship last season. Look, it's interesting because, at the moment we need a midfielder more than we need a striker, because we do still have Eddie Nketiah who's here, and Alexander Lacazette, although he's off in the summer most likely. He's still here. He's going to be here for 6 months. Both of those players are. There's rumors of Aubameyang leaving for Newcastle. They want him on loan. Just in general, it seems like his time at Arsenal is up. So, we of course you have, even though Balogun is going out on loan, most likely you have Martinelli who could perhaps play there. We've seen him kind of float around that center forward position. So, really, when you think about it, that midfield is short, and we don't have options. So. I don't know if there's a loan move for someone, but when you think of a loan move, in January for a midfielder, it's going to be a player that isn't being used, and most likely that means the quality is not what you're going to be. We need someone to help us push for that top 4 spot and really just as high as we can possibly finish this season. So, if you ask me, I think in this window it would be a midfielder that we should be prioritizing. So it's just interesting to see what's going to go on there. Look, I want to talk about these striker options that we have. Lots of rumors. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Ollie Watkins, Jonathan David, Dusan Vlahovic, Alexander Isaac. These are all names circulating around Arsenal Twitter, and David Ornstein has talked about a couple of these players. Fabrizio Romano has talked about a couple of these players, and really, for me, it's come down to Alexander Isaac is, I think, a very, very promising player, and Dusan Vlahovic. Excuse me, I got a Serbian friend at work. I could have asked him for help pronouncing that last name, but look, that's the main man on form. He's really, really putting the goals in there for Fiorentina this season. Quality player. And I don't know what Arsenal are going to do. It's clear we need a striker, and losing potentially 3 strikers in the next 6 months. I don't think it would be too insane to say that we could do some business this January. I don't think that's too far-fetched to say, and it seems like Fiorentina would like to cash in on him now rather than later. Juventus are obviously keen on bringing him in, and would Fiorentina want to sell to Juventus? I mean, they're in a pretty decent position right now. I think they're in 6th place right now in Serie A, so a lot of thanks to Dusan Vlahovic himself. But when it comes down to it, it's we have a player over there on loan in Lucas Torreira, and apparently they want to buy him, make that move permanent. 10 to 15 million is the price that I'm seeing. And so really it gives Arsenal quite an upper hand in terms of negotiation. But according to Fabrizio Romano, it's not the club that is the issue; it's the player himself. Dusan he's on the radar of so many top clubs, and I think when it comes to convincing a player to join Arsenal, we've heard this from Arteta himself. I'm a big advocate of this. If you have to convince a player to join Arsenal, it's not worth having them here. And it's true to some extent. I think there's a bit of nuance there. When it comes to, if they don't want to join a club like Arsenal, then forget them. But when you have a player like this who is on the radar of so many top clubs, it's okay to do a little convincing. We know Arteta is one to call players and talk with them, one-on-one, and it's very common. It's not just Arteta. It's very common for managers to do that. If you've seen any of these Ramsdale interviews, you would know that he played a big part in getting Ramsdale here. And Ramsdale, not really the most sought-after player in England, but still took some not some convincing, but took some work from Arteta. And I think when you look at this project, it is appealing. It really, really is when you see the step that we've taken, and people are talking about Arsenal again in that top 4 spot, and really the favorites. I mean, we're doing well. West Ham are right behind us, of course, with 1 point. Tottenham 2 games in hand, and they could be there as well. But 2 games in hand, that's not 6 points guaranteed. We've seen that from Manchester United, who are in all sorts of trouble. But look, if you were to ask me, those are the two players that I would like, Dusan Vlahovic and Alexander Isaac. Those are my 2 favorites. Jonathan David, look, I've seen him play for Canada, obviously, watching CONCACAF in the United States. He's a quality player also. I'm a big fan of Jonathan David. I wouldn't be opposed to any of these guys, but I am very, very opposed to Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Ollie Watkins. I don't think they're the answer, man. I honestly don't. Unless we get one or the other in Isaac or Vlahovic, then perhaps Ollie Watkins could come in. I would prefer him over Dominic Calvert-Lewin. That's my opinion. You guys can let me know what you think. Obviously in the comments, or hit me up on Twitter. It's always going to be in the description. Yeah, like I said, I'm a big fan of both those guys. I think personally they would be the answer for us. I mean, what are the odds we're losing 3 strikers in the next 6 months? I think pretty high. Lacazette doesn't look like we're going to give him a new contract. Eddie Nketiah doesn't seem to want to stay. He wants to play football. He's improved this season. Is he the answer? I mean, would Ollie Watkins be better than Nketiah? I would probably say so. I think so, but it's hard to say. I mean, it's hard to say. He's improved a lot under Arteta. He's someone I would like to keep personally, Eddie Nketiah. So. Yeah, that's it really for me, guys. Obviously, the movement in the window with these strikers likely to leave. You guys can let me know what you think, who you like, who you would like to see come in. Do we need a midfielder more than we need a striker in January. Let me know what you think, guys. I was super happy to be back making a video. I miss making a video. I was looking at my channel like every day. It's a shame because the last video I made, I think it's the most views I have. I mean, under 100 views. Nothing special, obviously. I don't expect much, but it's hard to find, not motivation, but I should just say I was really low on energy, and it sucks that I had a video that got that many views and I wasn't able to kind of pick up on it and keep it going. But hopefully this video will find some interest in some of you guys, and again, let me know if it did. I'm always looking for fans to chat with. It doesn't have to be Arsenal fans. It can be anyone really. Talk about the top four, whatever it might be. So you let me know if that is something you're interested in, guys. And again, if you've made it this far, you're clicking around, or you have found yourself watching any of my videos at any time, I do appreciate it, guys. Thanks very much, and I will be back with another video after the Nottingham Forest game on Sunday. So thanks very much, guys. See you soon. Bye.